Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classics / Known Classics. This is episode number 2204 and Doubleshot number 2098. I have basically a Marvel trade and DC trade here. First up we have is Incredible Hulk Epic Collection Volume 3, The Leader Lives. Let's actually cover one of the issues himself. This book contains Tales of Astonish issues 97-101, Incredible Hulk 102 and 107, the first annual. And here's the strange thing though. Next annual is coming for a decade. No, seriously. And not Brent Enoch number 9. Now, I just must think about the annual itself. The annual was simply the Hulk taking on the Inhumans for the first time. After the time it was released, it was referred to as the Hulk Special. Well, the Incredible Hulk Special. Not technically an annual per se, more like a special. That's mostly put exactly what this was referring to as. It's similar to what happened with, well, in the case, I think it was like Thor, I think it was. Actually, maybe it was Daredevil, where after his first annual, he didn't have a new annual published for a long time. You may take on the humans, yes, but you have also League of Evil Inhumans. Yeah. And they don't exist anymore. Nope. They actually made their last appearance in the pages of Quicksilver. Yep, they appeared in this very issue, this one shot. Then they appeared for a couple issues of Incredible Hulk after this. Each for this like 4, first 2, like the last appearance they made was Quicksilver 6, but before that was their last, well, kind of last appearance was Humans number 6. This, of course, was the one they had back in the 70s. Yep. And here's the strange thing about the special. Like, this was not the only one they did. They also did 3 others, which they actually kind of have the cover for the second one. The second one, which was released in 1969, was a reprint of Incredible number 2, Tales of 62, and 63, and 64. Well, mostly put basically these were reprints. Yep, that was the deal with them. They were all reprints. There was no original ones. Yeah. Yes, and 3 and 4 are also reprints as well. So, if you're curious though, don't have to worry about these specials. And the next original story would not be published. They have a Hulk annual release in 1976, which is number 5, which is called simply Hulk Annual. Not Incredible Hulk, just Hulk Annual. And then pretty much afterwards, we didn't have another annual published. By the way, that was 1976, mind you. Next thing that published the following year, and the annuals themselves came out mostly on yearly basis. From what I can tell anyways. Yes. They actually skipped a few years from after annual 15, annual 16 they come out until about 4 years later. And then after basically that, like 4 straight annuals, and then they had like 2 or 3 more after that, and that was it. But in the case, what happens in these particular issues? Well, in the case of like the Tales of Astonish issues, it's simply Hulk versus this Lightning Legion. Yes, seriously. That's what happens from issues, I think it was like 97 to 99. Because 100 is team up between the Hulk and Submariner for a, like, they refer to it as a 22 issue epic story. Well, they had the Legion of Lightning. Yeah, first he fights up against an old Khazar villain who's actually his brother, the Plunderer. Yep, and then you have the Lightning Legion himself. The Lords of Living Lightning. Yeah, they were controlled by the Lightning Lord, who only existed in this, well, mostly four-parter. Yeah, he existed for this three-parter, and he popped up for Indiana West Coast Avengers, and that was it for him. Yep, and in the annual, well, issue 100, was team between the Hulk and the Submariner. Nice in the cover, 22-page epic. They team with each other for this one issue. And then the very next issue, it's just back to Swift book for like the last issue. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the last issue of this, of course, is quite strange, where Loki brings Hulk to Asgard to wreak havoc. But here's the strange thing: there's no Thor in this issue. He takes on the Warriors 3, he takes on Heimdall, but no freaking Thor. I'm like, what is this? It's like basically you have Hulk in basically a Thor comic. Kind of like that is. And it kind of continues to the very next issue. And by the way, you see him falling down like a cliffside, and he's saved by Amora the Enchantress. Where I think it's like the second time he's fight the Executioner. Yeah. By the way, I love the title for the story for 101. The last story for Hulk in this type before it becomes Incredible Hulk issue 102. Where walks the Immortals? Yeah, the whole thing of Loki summoning Hulk for something. Oh, by the way, Incredible Hulk number 102. And if you're curious, though, like I had mentioned this probably once before, this is a continuation of the Tailstar's numbering. So technically, there is no issue 7 through 101. There is no Incredible Hulk for this volume, because this is a continuation of another series numbering. One of several series they did this for. This is not the only one. They also did for Captain America. They did for Thor. Did they do for Namor? Nope. They did for Doctor Strange. And that was it. Just those 4 characters. And those were the only ones who their numbering doesn't actually match some issues they actually published. And here's a fun fact. Did you know when Hulk released issue 600, it was released the same year as 3 other 600s. And the 600s were Captain America 600. Yes, Captain America 600. Amazing Spider-Man 600. And I'm trying to think. You might be thinking, did Fantastic Four 600 come out that year? No. It did not. I think that also that year, they also had released Iron Man 500 that year as well. Yep. So, basically 102 is just a continuation of the last story. We have Hulk dealing with, well, characters from Thor comics. Yeah, then he's dealt with this guy called the Space Parasite with the very next issue. No, seriously, that's why he frickin' fights here. A Space Parasite. And you might be thinking, is he still around? No, he actually died back in 2007. Like after this one issue, he not appeared again until his death in Annihilation Heralds of Galactus, and he appeared briefly for Hulk Grand Design Monster. And that was essentially put this guy as like a one-shot character. No, seriously, he's like a one-shot character. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason, he fights the frickin' Rhino for the next few issues. No, seriously, he fights a frickin' Rhino. Who I should point out is a Spider-Man villain. Yes. As a matter of fact, his appearance, well, chronologically was this F-Flight special. But he previously appeared in the issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, he previously had just appeared in Amazing 41. What seems strange. That came out in July of 66. And this came out in March 1968. This was his first appearance in 2 years. Yep, and next time we see this guy, will not be until Incredible Hulk 124. Yeah, and also, we see Return of the Leader in these issues. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the cover is from issue 105. Yeah, 105 was the debut of the character known as Missing Link, who appears 7 times over the years. Yep. He appeared in 106, 105, 179 of this very book, an issue of ROM, Savage Hulk #1, Thunderbolts 94, and Hulk Grand Design Monster. So, yeah, appears like a couple times in this book, which is interesting. The way they have it here is quite strange. Like 106, 105, like what? Yeah, it's like he appears for this 2 issues, and that's very good until years later. We also appear the first appearance of 2 Russians, because, of course, he goes to Russia for a couple issues. Yep, and then for some strange reason, in 107, he fights the Mandarin. Yes, an Iron Man villain. Yes. And then he continues fighting for the next issue, and then, of course, comes the special. Oh, by the way, this book covers up until issue 118. Yep, and then, of course, we have a guest appearance in this issue in issue 109 by Kazar. Yep. I think Kazar here just for a couple issues. I think previously, before this, I think he had just appeared in the pages of, I think it was Daredevil. Yeah. Actually, no, he appeared in Just Amazing Spider-Man just prior to this, so he appears for this 3-parter, and then he popped up in X-Men again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also for some reason, look at the cover for issue 111. It seems like a modern-day cover. Yes. Let's see if I can find it here. Because that's what it seems like. 111 seems like a cover you see from modern day. The style of it seems like a modern day cover. Let's see if I have it here. Yeah, it's strange. Like, oh yeah, let's have Hulk fight the Mandarin, or basically there's from Thor. Like, yeah, and also 108, he also appears here by the Shield. But this is just pure classic stuff when it comes to Hulk. Then comes the Annual Wish. Yeah, it's Hulk versus the Inhumans. I'm trying to find the cover for issue not 110. I think it was 111 I want to show off. Because, yeah, the subject being here for 3 issues, it's a great, like here it is. Here's 111. This looks like, despite the fact this came on the 60s, this looks like a modern day cover. Yeah, it seriously does. Yeah, the Hulk going to space. Like, wait, Hulk in space. Is he going to Scar? No, that would happen years later. Oh, by the way, Stan Lee wrote a lot of these stories along with Roy Thomas. Jack Kirby was not the artist at this point in time. He basically just gave up this book for a while, gave it to somebody else. So then, of course, he's in space for a couple issues, taking on these guys called the Brutes. And then, for some reason, in 113, he fights the Sandman from Spider-Man comics. Yes. And if you're curious, though, this alpha he showed off this book here, that's sort of a Marvel team-up. Yes. So, okay, in the span of, this is 113. So, in the span of, in a period of about 12 issues, he has fought, guess how many of his villains at this point in time? 0, because he only had 2. He just had the Leader of the Abomination. That was, and of course, Tyrannus. Just those 3. And in these issues, he's fought the Executioner, the Amora the Enchantress, the Mandarin, the Sandman, the Rhino. Are any of these villains Hulk villains? No, because 2 of them are Spider-Man villains. You have also 2 Thor villains and a Iron Man villain. Okay, interesting. So yeah, deals with the Sandman, where he fights him again later, which is strange to say the least. Yep. And then, of course, for 114, we have once again fighting the Mandarin. Yes, the Mandarin who's teamed up with the Rhino and the Sandman. Now you might be thinking about this. Would the Sandman and Rhino team up again for a story? Yes. When Dan Slott wrote Amazing Spider-Man in the 2010s. Then 115, the Leader is back. Yes, the Leader. Samuel Stearns. Yep, he is back. Yeah, first time since Tales to Astonish, number 75, which released in 1965. This is roughly 3 years later. Yes, 3 years later. Yeah, so he's here for basically issues 115, 117 as like the main villain. But he'll be back for the next book, don't worry about that. But we also have Hulk fighting Superhumanoid in these issues. Yep, 116 is his debut. And it returns for 124, and that's it. I'll talk 124 in our comic corner, but still, having fight the leader is awesome. Yep, the leader. Yep. Yeah, then pretty much after this, that we have Nightbright Edict, which is a spoof of basically Tales of 100. That's really all it is. Yeah, does this look like Tales of 100? Yeah, it's literally the same artist. Yeah, it's basically a spoof of that issue. That's all it is, but still really good. I give this book a 10 out of 10. Next up is book, I'm sure my friend Tivia, he probably gonna love the fact I'm talking about this book. Convergence Flashpoint Book 1. Now, all these miniseries in this book are all 2 issues. The only one that's not 2 issues is Convergence, miniseries. This is basically the characters of Flashpoint, or some of the Flashpoint, basically together each other. We have Convergence, Superman, The Question, Justice League, Batgirl, and Nightwing and Oracle. Now, in the case of Superman, written by Dan Jurgens, artwork by Lee Weeks. This is a 2-issue storyline where you have basically Superman who's staying in Gotham City with Lois, and later on, a little later in the first issue, is revealed Lois is pregnant. Oh, by the way, this is pre-Flashpoint Superman. That I remember when this issue came out, there were some people who were like, yes, the real they're like, the real Superman is back, not this bullcrap version, the new 52. That's kind of how it was. Like, they were basically fanboying with the fact that the pre-Flashpoint Superman was back. They love this, and they wanted to see more of this. And we did. We had the authors that was the Superman Lois and Clark series, and the Superman still appears this very day. Even Flashpoint appears in this issue. Why, it's Thomas Wayne Batman. Also, the Superman, basically the Flashpoint Superman, the one who's skinny. And also the appearance by Cyborg, who is working as a henchman for Batman for some reason. And apparently, like, everybody knows what Superman Batcave is, which is so awesome. It's just a really fun story. And it's the first story in here. Now, this is something quite interesting about this. This is something that you gotta love here. Plus, you gotta love Lee Weeks' artwork. This comic here, in issue 2, is confirmed, and this has never changed up in DC Comics. Oh, by the way, he also fights Abin Sur, which Superman doesn't question the fact, hey, why are you here even though you should be dead? Yes, because in the prime timeline, he actually died in his debut appearance. Now, here's the thing. This issue 2, by the way, he also fights Captain Marvel, who is supposed to have scars on his face, even if he does. I'm not sure. It's like Lee Weeks did not get the memo of the fact that Captain Thunder, by the way, it's Captain Thunder in the Flashpoint timeline, is made up of like 5 people combined into 1. Oh yeah, and this book here is the debut of this baby. And what baby is it? John Kent. Yep, that's done by him. Now, Dan Jurgens basically does the artwork for this issue, but I think the first issue is done by Lee Weeks. The second one is The Question. Yes, The Question. Who is the verge of Gotham City, and this, of course, is Renee Montoya question. Now, because of Renee Montoya, guess who writes it? Greg Rucka, of course. Yep. With art by Cully Hammer. Good choice. It's mostly put continuing what was going on with her storyline pages of the comics where she's dealing with Two-Face. And it's revealed also in this two-parter that she's living with Huntress, and she also has the Batwoman, her ex-girlfriend, who, get this, Batwoman knows the fact these two are living together, and she's also implying Huntress is sleeping with Renee. But here's the thing. That's never confirmed that they are. Nope. In this two-part, it's never confirmed. And though they kind of imply it in Injustice that Renee is with Huntress in that timeline, it's implied, but it's not explicitly revealed. In this book, it's implied here, but it's never stated. In the other book, it is. I'm sure probably Tom Tip picked up on this when he was writing Injustice, that, or in fact, Greg Oak picked up Injustice, I'm not really sure. So, they're just trying to save his life, and you might be curious, though. Despite the fact this is supposed to be converged, here people find in different cities, it's mostly put just a continuation of what he was doing. And also, each two has something that anybody who's fans of a potential relationship between Batwoman and Renee Montoya, like, mouth them out. Ooh. Yeah. Renee kisses Kate, and she's like, things I do to get you to kiss me again. And Kate's like, I thought you were dead. Oh, please. Yeah, I personally love this because these two are former girlfriends. It's perfectly fine. And then basically Renee says about her father. Now here's the strange thing though. This is the only book in this whole entire this trade here where you don't have characters fighting other characters from a different universe. Next we have the Justice League, written by Frank Terry. Now this is the female members of Justice League. From what I can tell, mostly it's the characters from the James Robinson's run for the book. Mostly mixed to... It's the lineup where included Supergirl, Mira, Vixen, Zatanna, Jesse Quick. Jesse Quick actually joined Justice League America just prior to the company relaunch. And, of course, Jade. Yep. And also we have it where Jesse Quick gives birth to a baby. And then talk about Yellow Gorilla, a.k.a. Congo Bill, who actually does not appear in this miniseries. And because it's a convergence, have one city fight another city. Who do they fight? People from Flashpoint. Where a guy gets the crap beat out by Flashpoint Aquaman. Oh, and by the way, in that universe, Ocean Masters is basically his henchman. Yeah, Aquaman in the Flash universe is a supervillain. Just cuz. Also, he's one of the main villains in that story along with Wonder Woman. Oh, he hates Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman killed Mira. And it's also shown even in the movie version of that story that Wonder Woman and Aquaman had sex. Yes, seriously, they did. So, yeah, it's basically female Justice League versus Flash Aquaman and the Force of Atlantis. Yeah, and then of course, like, when he I think it's Jade when he runs into, like, I think she's fighting Aquaman. And it turns out she's fighting Ocean Master. And of course, you have a version of Vanko in here, this is interesting because I don't think Vanko popped up in Flashpoint. I don't remember if he did or not. I know he popped up in Jeff Johns' run. Yeah, then of course you have Vixen apparently dying toward the miniseries. But thing gets wrapped up with him, Aquaman apparently dying in his own throne. Then we have the Batgirls one, where we have Cassandra Cain Batgirl back in her costume, Stephanie Brown in her actual costume, and Tim Drake as Red Robin. Now these, of course, are the pre-Flashpoint costumes, though in the case of Cassandra Cain's, hers doesn't have the whole stitched-together bat symbol like it did previously. I'm not sure why this was, but Stephanie Brown, that is her actual costume. This book mostly... Now, the only book that continues what goes on from the previous timeline was the Question one. This one, not really. It's mostly about just basically... It's just called The Love Song of Stephanie Brown, where it's written by Alyssa Kang. And at one point, it seemed like, you have... looks like that Stephanie Brown looks like she's about to do a private business. And then she's interrupted by Catman. Yes, freaking Catman. Like, ooh, gonna kiss. It seems like, though, Catman, it looks like he's gonna rape her. Yeah, and then, of course, they basically have Batgirl saved by, of course, well, Tim Drake. And then, of course, they run into Gorilla Grodd. Yes. Now, oddly enough, in the course, they run into Killer Moth. Now, you might be thinking, because it's, of course, finding our city. Who do they fight, per se, besides Gorilla Grodd? Nobody I can think of. I think it may be post-Flashpoint for Gorilla Grodd, I'm not really sure. So we have at the end of the book where it looks like Tim and Stephanie are back together. And then we have, get this, the Nightwing Oracle miniseries done by Gail Simone. And this one is confirming that they unify some of the universe. And it's Hawkman Hawkgirl from the Hawkworld series. Yes, that version. I'm like, that's interesting. Yeah, and also in this book, where you have Dick Grayson in Gotham City, and he finds Mr. Freeze. And oddly enough, in all these miniseries for Batman, none of them feature Batman. Isn't that weird? Yeah, not this book, not the Batgirl's book, not even the Question book features Batman. There's not even a mention of him. And then, of course, basically, it looks like, oh, we have a potential relation between, looks like he's about to go with Corey, then he decides to, ends up proposing to Barbara, and then, of course, they get married by the next issue. Yeah, it's interesting that Nightwing fights Hawkman. And I love the fact how basically where Hawkgirl's drawn. Like, where it looks like she's not wearing much clothing. I don't mind this look. It's a very barbarian style look. I would definitely say it's inspired by that look, but yeah. The story is called Birds of Rage, but it's, by the way, the artwork is by Jan Drusma. But this book is really good. Oh yeah, and also we see appearance here by the Black Canary. Yeah, she's here. Because, of course, we got to throw in Black Canary because, Birds of Prey. And then we have, like, a Convergence back, basically, what they took inspiration from for all these miniseries. And that's it. My friend Tivia loves this book. I do, too. It's really good. I'm going to give this book roughly here's a shocker, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because all these books were good. I didn't think any book was bad. How would I rank these books? I would definitely say the best books, in my opinion, that collecting this book is Superman, The Question. I would probably say the kind of more weaker one, I would probably say is Justice League. Yes, I do like the ladies aspect. I don't mind that. It's just the story felt a little weak. Yes, I would say that's the weakest story of the whole book. I would say the strongest ones are Superman, The Question, Nightwing Oracle, and yeah, I'd say of these four, Nightwing Oracle, Superman, and Question, those three are the strong ones. I consider these three the best ones of this collection of trade here. The Justice League one I consider to be the weaker one. Just because it is. But yeah, that's particularly it, particular view. So, next up is going to be Demon Slayer. Okay, next video. Bye.